everybody, it's been a few days since I made a video. I hope you guys are all doing good. Got little Miss Claudia here today. Can you say hi? Can you say hi? Yeah. I was going to put her down for bed, but she didn't seem like she was quite ready, so she's going to hang out here with me tonight. So, I thought I would start this evening by telling you about one of our crises. Crises, is that what you say? There's several of those every day at our house, but today we had one that was particularly sad, so I thought I would share it with you. After lunch today, the kids had went outside to play, and then they all came back inside, and I was working in my office doing stuff, and I heard them all downstairs playing and just having a good time down there, and it was really quiet upstairs. So I thought, you know, while they're all down there and it's quiet, maybe I will work on there's a curriculum review video that I've been wanting to make, and I haven't got a chance to do it yet, so I thought I'll just get started working on that while it's all quiet upstairs. So I got my camera and I came in here into the living room, and I heard Sophia cry, and I thought, oh, she must be fussing with somebody downstairs. And then it was quiet, and then I heard her cry again, and that time she sounded kind of distressed, and I thought, that doesn't sound like she's fighting with somebody. So I'm sitting here listening and trying to figure out, where is she? And I start looking around and trying to figure out where I hear this crying coming from, and then I open the door, and that's when I realize she's outside. So I go out there, and she was sitting out in the swing, the baby swing on the swing set. And apparently when everyone ran inside, Asher was the one that had put her in the swing and was pushing her, but then he decided he wanted to come inside, and so he told the other boys to be sure to get her when they came in. But when he started coming in, they all decided to come in, and no one thought to turn around and get Sophia, so they just left her sitting out there, and I just assumed she was with them. So it's also my fault for not going and making sure, but you know, they always just run as a pack, so I just assumed. So she was out there for like half an hour, trapped in the baby swing, and she was all cold, and I was getting her down, and she told me that I was scared. It was really sad. So that was our sad crisis of the day. She recovered quickly. We sat here in the rocking chair and had a little rocking time, and she got over it and wanted to go play, but it was pretty pathetic. Tonight, well, it's Tuesday, so tonight was game night at our house, and we played a game that I hate, but all the kids love it. It's called Quelf, and Quelf makes me uncomfortable. I'm not a person who can just like let loose and be silly. It's not my nature, and this game frequently requires you to do things like that, and I don't like it. We were laughing because Tom was like, Asher is so your son, because you can either do what the card says or you have to pay a penalty, which is going back certain spaces. And I think Asher and I were the only ones that chose the penalty multiple times because we didn't want to have to do whatever the card said. One of them was that I was going to have to dance like doing high kicks, like, you know, dancers do, and for a certain amount of time, 30 seconds or something like that. And I'm like, I don't even think my skirt could let me do that for one thing, and I can't do it. I'm too embarrassed, even in front of my own family. It's so silly. I can't remember what Asher skipped over that I thought was funny. That I actually would have done whatever his thing was, but there was a lot of tears. She's so shy too about things, and she was embarrassed. She did all of her things, but she still got embarrassed a few times and ended in tears by the time she was done with her turn. But she was a trooper and made it through. And then there's Judah and Thomas, who thrive on this kind of thing, and they think it's great and had a good time. So that's why we don't play this game very often, though, because like only a few people really love it. The rest of us are like, oh, I don't want to do this game. So that's how our game night went. Thomas ended up winning, which he said he was so happy because it's been months since he won a game night and got a prize. Oh shoot, I have to go get something out of the printer, so I'm going to go super fast because I was going to show you guys something. Let's see if that's coming up yet. Almost. Alright, just stay right here for a second. I'll be right back. Alright, that was more than a second probably, but I was going to show you something and I forgot to bring it with me. So, yesterday, I had some of my homeschool mom friends come over. So if you guys were watching, that was Heather and Tara and Michaela came. They all homeschool, and then my friend Lindsay's thinking about homeschooling. She doesn't know if she's going to, but I have this set of videos from Simply Charlotte Mason that kind of teach you how to homeschool with the Charlotte Mason method. So I thought it would be good for Lindsay if she wanted to see how you do things, and for us already homeschooling moms, it's nice to get new ideas and things. So I had invited them to come over, and we're gonna do this for 10 more weeks, watching one DVD every week and learn some Charlotte Mason method homeschooling stuff. So I started writing down things, the good ideas that I always get, because every time I read any Charlotte Mason books, or I've watched this set of DVDs once myself, partially at least. I haven't watched the whole thing, but I have so many new ideas that I get from it, and I want to do them, and then I always forget. So I decided this time to go ahead and start making a list like I do for other things. I just hadn't quite thought of doing it for this, but I started typing one up, so I'll show it to you right here. So this is my homeschool ideas list that I've gotten from the first 2 videos of things I was thinking of that I wanted to try. So I put here, I don't know if you can see it, doesn't really matter, but I put the list of ideas and what kind of school subject, that's the type, and there that I'm going to have a priority and a, what's that one say? A win, and if it's done. And so my plan is, as each week as I think of things to add to my list, and then I'll sort the list just like I did for my garden work. I will sort it by whatever I deem to be the appropriate sorting method at that time, and then assign a month that I want to start incorporating those things into our homeschool plan. So I want to show you that, and I think I'm going to do the same thing working on our kitchen and our library, because there's so many projects that we need to do, and they need to be done in certain order, or it's going to take us years to remodel those 2 rooms, but everything has to be done in a certain, one thing before another thing kind of a thing. So I want to make a list for those 2 things too. So I'm always making lists, and even if I don't finish everything on the list, it's helpful to feel like I can take it out of my brain because it's written down somewhere. So that is what I'm starting to do with that. And then I was going to show you, got one more shirt here and I'll be done with this folding, but something I have done in the past that I thought you guys might be interested in case it might be helpful to somebody, is in the each season, I haven't been doing this recently, but after I thought of it, I thought I should do that some more because that was really helpful. But each season I would make a little, like a sticker chart for myself, and I don't know why this actually has a title, and it had pretty flowers on it, but they didn't print for some reason. I'm not sure why, but then I would make this little sticker chart, and I would have goals for the season. So under the play goals, when we first got our microscope, we didn't, this is an old one, so that's why some of these things are on here, but when we first got our microscope, we didn't get it out and use it very much. So one of my goals was to use the microscope. So under science here, I put, let's see, what do we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 squares that say use a microscope. Then I had one for doing nature notebooks and doing a science experiment, and we also had for taking the kids shooting to do some target practice. I had 3 squares for that, and we had some gun safety training DVDs, so I had 3 squares for that. And let's see, under socialize, visit Papa Gary. One was for visit Grandma Kitty. And these people always come to our house, but we don't go to their house very often. So I'd put squares for visiting all these different people or calling them if it's somebody that lives far away. And places that I would like to go, like going to the park a certain number of times and visiting other places like on field trips. And then I had some outdoor work that I wanted to do. And at that time we were working on the boys' room, so that's the last little section down there. So I made this little chart and I hung it on the refrigerator, and as it would come up that it would be like, oh, we need to do something, you know, this afternoon we don't have anything to do, and I could look at the chart and pick one of those projects off there and we would work on it, and then we would mark it off. And it was really fun and helpful to kind of keep us on task for doing some of those odd projects that don't really have a real time to do it, but when, you know, when an opportunity presented itself, we already had something in mind that we wanted to work on that season. So there's an idea for you if you are interested in that. Oh, that was one of the things I was going to say is the homeschool convention. I was reading up about that coming up here in a couple months, and I thought, oh, that's another way I can help remember all those good ideas I get when I go to the homeschool convention. I can make a list, just like I'm doing with the Charlotte Mason DVDs, and then have something to refer to, because I always take notes and things while I'm there, and then it's like stuck in the book that I wrote it down in, and I never look at it again when I get home. But I thought if I transfer all that into a list of ideas, then I have something to refer to and hopefully remember to start doing some of those things instead of just getting it all in my head and then forgetting it all. The last thing I wanted to show you, where did I put it? It's kind of creepy and gross, but I wanted to show you what the kids brought home today from their walk to the store. They brought home this dead bird. I didn't know what it was, what kind it was. I mean, I know it's a bird, but it was really cute. Solomon tells me that we were walking and we saw something yellow, and we said, "What the heck is that?" And we went, and it was a bird, and it was dead, he says. So they brought it home, which that's my kids, because, you know, I've taught them to be interested in those kinds of things. So they brought it home. I looked it up, and I found out that it's a western meadowlark, which just happens to be our state bird. And I thought to myself, I can't believe that I'm 37 years old, and I didn't know what a meadowlark looked like, which is funny because growing up, we lived out in the country, and that's like one of my best springtime memories is when my mom would open up the windows in the early morning and you could hear the meadowlarks chirping and singing, and they were so beautiful, but I didn't know what they looked like, and now I know that's what a meadowlark looks like. So I thought I would share with you about our nature notebooks on that note, because one of my convictions when I started learning about Charlotte Mason's methods, which we use ACE to homeschool, but I love Charlotte Mason's ideas, and so I incorporate a lot of her ideas with what we do. And she was an advocate of making nature notebooks, which is just keeping kind of records or whatever you want to say of the things that you encounter in nature around where you live. So it might be plants or bugs or birds or animals or, you know, the weather or, you know, rock formations or whatever it is. And for me, I realized that we spend a lot of time in school learning about exotic animals and exotic places, but we really don't spend any time learning the things that we actually encounter in everyday life. And so I can walk outside and I might recognize that I've seen a tree before, but I don't know what kind of a tree it is. Or I might know that an elm tree exists, but I could not point one out to you that if we were walking down the street. So I was really convicted that, to me, it's way more important to know the world that we actually live in than the world that we may or may not ever see and may or may not ever have any impact on our lives. And so that's something I really want my own kids to grow up knowing, to actually be able to walk outside and identify what's out there, not just so that they're familiar with the world, but so that they actually know, especially in like a medicinal sense. It's important to me that the kids know what foods there are growing, you know, just in the wild, and what things can be used for medicine. And so we have been working on nature notebooks now for a couple of years. And this year we've been learning how to identify trees more in the winter time. So we had learned a lot of trees, what they look like with their leaves, but when they don't have leaves, we didn't know what kind they were necessarily. So that's something that we've been learning and practicing this year, and it's been really fun to figure that out. And I realized that, I mean, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just going out there and we see something and we try to figure out what it is. I bought books that help you identify plants, or I look it up online. That's how I found out what this bird was. I looked up bird with a yellow belly, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's the one right there. But it's just been really fun to learn these things and realize that if you even just start your nature notebook with the most common thing that you see, if you're not confident what it's called, you learn what it's called. And we learn like 4 or 5 trees, and we probably know 90% of the trees growing in our town, because most of them are the same kind, repeated over and over again. So now we know those main ones, and even if we never do get every single tree learned, we learned the majority of them, because that's just, there's not that many. So we also, something that we've been doing is I was reading, are you gonna get me? I was reading a book about Carl Linnaeus, who lived in, I think, the 1700s, and he's the one that came up with like giving plants 2 names instead of just 1 name. So the binomial nomenclature, I guess that's how you say it. I don't know if I've said it out loud before, so I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right. But what he did was he would gather samples of plants, and he would make cards out of them so that he could learn all the plants that were around where he lived. And so we started doing that a couple of years ago. In fact, they're right here. I guess I could show them to you. And we literally just started with this stuff in our own yard, and then we've expanded to our block. So we haven't even went away from our block. And there are so many plants that we haven't even scratched the surface. So here's, this one is common mallow. And I'm just grabbing some randomly out of this thing here. Got white clover. And this is from the Russian olive tree in the backyard. And some climbing knotweed. I'm not going to show you everything in here, that would get boring. But you can see here that we have this many cards made so far. And we're still just getting started. But it's been really fun to learn all these things, and I have no idea what half of them are. We just pick them and we bring them home, and I've been trying to get them when they're actually flowering, which helped to like narrow down what, because there's so many things out there, so it helped kind of narrow what we're looking for. We're looking for things with flowers on them, and then it helps it to be easier to identify too when they have flowers on them. So we would just pick whatever's flowering that week. We go out once a week, we pick stuff that we found that had flowers, and then we bring it home and press it, and then we figure out what it was, and then make a card and laminate it with the laminator. Except for, I was going to see what, oh yeah, the cattail. The cattail right here, that came out of our pond, and that does not fit through the laminator. I don't know if you can see it, but it's really fat. So I had to just use the iron on that one, and it's kind of not a very good job, but it's doing the job of giving us a plant card to identify. So I would encourage you, I guess that's my point here, is I would encourage you, if you're homeschooling, even if you're not homeschooling, to spend some time, maybe starting this spring or this summer, going out in your own yard and picking plants and learning how to identify them. You can draw pictures of them or take pictures of them or do like this, like gather samples and make cards of them, and just start collecting those in some sort of a notebook, or like this, we're just using a magazine holder for these cards, and start learning what's actually growing in your own yard and in your own world. And I always say, be the expert on your own backyard. That's my thing. And maybe it'll only be important to you someday. So there you go. There's my tip for the day, and I suppose hopefully we will see you guys again tomorrow.